2020s have redefined Formula One. Dominance, heartbreak, redemption, and the rise of a new generation. From Verstappen's unstoppable reign to Hamilton's fight against time. From the calm brilliance of Norris and Leclerc to the fiery comebacks of Alonso and Ricciardo. This decade hasn't just been about speed. It's been about survival. Every race, every rivalry, every underdog story, shaping a new era of legends. So today, we're ranking the F1 drivers of the 2020s. The heroes, the heartbreaks, and the history makers. Who stood tall? Who fell short? Let's find out. 1. Max Verstappen has redefined what dominance looks like in Formula One. Emerging as a fierce young talent in his teenage years, he quickly evolved into the face of a new era. By the time he clinched his first championship in 2021, it was clear the sport had entered the Verstappen age. A driver so naturally attuned to the car that every lap seemed to stretch the limits of possibility. His aggressive precision and unrelenting confidence made him the kind of racer who didn't just win, but reshaped expectations. Through the 2020s, Verstappen's control over the grid became almost clinical. Whether in blistering qualifying laps or relentless race pace, he exhibited an ability to extract perfection from changing cars, circuits, and weather. While others faltered under evolving regulations, he thrived. Proof of his adaptability and symbiotic relationship he built with Red Bull's engineering excellence. Each victory felt less like a surprise and more like a continuation of a pattern he'd mastered. By 2024, his name had already been etched alongside the sport's greatest. 60-plus wins, multiple championships, and records that bent under his consistency told the story of a driver who made excellence seem effortless. Yet beyond the statistics, what defines Verstappen is a quiet inevitability he brings to every race weekend, a sense that no matter what unfolds, the Dutchman will find a way to win. 2. Lewis Hamilton's journey through the 2020s is one of resilience, evolution, and enduring greatness. At the start of the decade, he was on the cusp of immortality, already a 7-time world champion, chasing an unprecedented 8th crown. Yet, fate and circumstance had other plans. The heartbreak of Abu Dhabi 2021, where a title slipped away in the most controversial finishes, became a defining moment not just in his career, but in Formula One history. Lesser drivers might have faded. Hamilton instead found new purpose in the struggle that followed. As Mercedes slipped from dominance, Hamilton's role transformed. Gone were the effortless wins and runaway seasons. In their place came hard-fought podiums and flashes of brilliance that reminded fans of fire that had always driven him. Even in a car not built for glory, he found ways to inspire, outdriving machinery and mentoring a team in transition. His poise through frustration, his grace in defeat, and his continued advocacy off-track showed the depth of a champion beyond trophies. Then came Silverstone 2024. After more than 2 years without victory, Hamilton's 103rd win felt like a homecoming. A reminder to the world that true greatness never fades, it only waits. The crowd's roar, the emotion on his face, and the symbolism of winning on British soil again marked a full-circle moment. Hamilton's story in the 2020s isn't one of decline. It's one of endurance, legacy, and a man who kept fighting when there was nothing left to prove. 3. Lando Norris's rise to the 2020s reads like a story of patience rewarded. For years, he was Formula One's almost man. The quick qualifier, the lovable underdog, the driver whose talent was never in doubt, but whose victories always seemed to slip away at the last moment. Yet beneath the memes and smiles was a racer of serious grit and intelligence, quietly refining his craft as McLaren rebuilt itself into a force capable of challenging the giants. When the car finally caught up to his talent, Norris was ready. His maiden win at Miami in 2024 wasn't just a personal milestone. It was a turning point for McLaren and for the narrative surrounding him. Gone was the talk of missed chances. This was a driver transformed, precise under pressure and hungry for more. From that victory onward, Norris carried himself like a man who belonged at the sharp end of the grid, stringing together podiums and forcing Verstappen, Leclerc, and others to take him seriously as a title contender. By 2025, his wheel-to-wheel duel with Verstappen in Brazil cemented his status as one of the sport's elite. It wasn't just the pace, but the composure, the audacity to go toe-to-toe with a reigning champion and make it look natural. Norris's story is no longer about what could have been. It's about a driver who turned promise into proof, laughter into legacy, and potential into a genuine shot at greatness. 4. Charles Leclerc has long embodied both the brilliance and heartbreak of modern Ferrari. From his earliest days in red, he carried the weight of expectation. Hailed as a driver destined to return the Scuderia to its former glory, his raw speed, especially over a single lap, set him apart as perhaps the finest qualifier of his generation. Yet for every dazzling pole position, there seemed to follow a tangle of strategy errors, pit wall misjudgments, or cruel mechanical failures. Through it all, Leclerc's calm defiance made him a symbol of perseverance amid Ferrari's chaos. His 2024 victory in Monaco felt like destiny fulfilled. Racing through the narrow streets of his hometown, he not only conquered one of Formula One's most demanding circuits, but also lifted a generational weight. The first Monégasque to win there in over 30 years. The emotion in his voice after crossing the line captured more than relief. It was triumph over years of near misses and heartbreak. It was Ferrari, if only for a weekend, returning to its romantic best. Leclerc's story remains one of brilliance, searching for consistency. Every pole he earns feels like a promise. Every setback a reminder of the fine margins that separate genius from glory. Yet, when the car and strategy finally align, few can touch him. In an era dominated by Verstappen, Leclerc remains the sport's purest racer. A blend of artistry, speed, and eternal hope that next Sunday, Ferrari will finally give him the car his talent deserves. 5. Carlos Sainz has built a career not on hype, but on hard-earned respect, often overshadowed by flashier teammates. He has quietly crafted a reputation as one of Formula One's most intelligent and dependable drivers. His journey through McLaren, Ferrari, and later Williams tells a story of persistence and adaptability, of a racer who might not always be the headline act, but who understands the art of extracting everything from imperfect machinery. His 2023 Singapore victory stands as a masterclass in racercraft and control. In a race that rewarded precision over raw speed, Sainz delivered a tactical performance for the ages, managing pace, tires, and rivals with an almost chess-like awareness. Holding off both Norris and Leclerc in a car that had no business, leading was more than just a win. It was vindication. It proved that in the right conditions, Sainz could outthink and outdrive anyone on the grid. Beyond the statistics, his strength lies in balance. Sainz is not reckless, yet never timid. Analytical, yet instinctive when it matters most. Each season, he seems to find new layers of maturity and consistency, transforming from the sport's nearly man into a trusted race winner. In an era of extremes, domination on one side and chaos on the other, Carlos Sainz represents something rarer, the thinking racer, whose calm intelligence continues to carve its quiet legacy. 6. Oscar Piastri arrived in Formula One without the fanfare of superstar, yet within a season, he made the paddock take notice. Calm, composed, and ruthlessly precise, he earned the nickname the Quiet Assassin for good reason. Where others announced their arrival with noise, Piastri did it with numbers, outqualifying Norris in his rookie year and holding his own against one of the grid's most complete drivers. He brought the same unshakable confidence that had carried him through Formula 3 and Formula 2 titles, proving that he wasn't an F1 to learn slowly, but to contend immediately. His breakthrough win in Hungary 2024 was a defining moment. Under pressure from his own teammate, Piastri drove like a veteran, clean, controlled, and utterly unfazed. It wasn't just a win. It was a message to the sport that the next generation had arrived fully formed. While others faltered under McLaren's mid-season challenges, Piastri thrived, showing flashes of brilliance that hinted at a long and decorated future. Still early in his career, Piastri embodies a rare blend of humility and killer instinct. There's no bravado in his approach, just execution. Corner after corner, race after race. He doesn't chase attention, yet the spotlight keeps finding him. If his first 40 starts are any indication, Formula One's future may soon bear his quiet, unshakable mark. 7. Fernando Alonso's career in the 2020s has been a masterclass in longevity and pure racing instinct. While most of his contemporaries retired or faded into commentary booths, Alonso, well into his 40s, continued to defy physics, time, and expectation. His return to the grid wasn't nostalgic. It was competitive. In a sport obsessed with youth and speed, he reminded everyone that racercraft and experience still matter. The man who once conquered the Schumacher era was now schooling a new generation on how to fight with precision and patience. His 2023 season with Aston Martin was the stuff of legend. In a car that had no business running at the front, Alonso somehow found podiums where others found excuses. Week after week, he turned strategy, tire management, and wet weather brilliance into weapons, crafting results that made fans believe in miracles again. His battles, especially in rain-soaked conditions, showed that he hadn't lost a single ounce of his trademark cunning. Every late-breaking move, every perfectly timed defense, carried the weight of 2 decades of experience distilled into instinct. There's something poetic about Alonso's twilight years. He's not chasing validation or rewriting his legacy. He's simply racing because it's what he was born to do. Each overtake, each unexpected podium, is a reminder that greatness isn't defined by age or machinery. It's defined by the refusal to slow down. At 44, Fernando Alonso isn't just surviving in Formula One. He's still teaching it lessons. 8. George Russell's path to Formula One success has been one of quiet persistence and undeniable talent. From his heartbreaking near win at Sakir in 2020, when a pit error robbed him of victory on debut for Mercedes, it was clear that destiny had marked him for bigger things. That race captured everything about Russell: speed, composure, and the hunger of a driver who knew he belonged among the elite. Even as he toiled through the difficult Williams years, his focus never wavered. Every lap, every overtake, was an audition for the future he was building. When he finally joined Mercedes full-time, the timing seemed perfect, except it wasn't. The team that once ruled Formula One was suddenly struggling to find its footing under new regulations. Yet Russell adapted. His 2022 Sao Paulo weekend, where he claimed both the sprint and the main race, became the shining highlight in an otherwise gloomy season. It wasn't just a victory. It was proof that even in a fading empire, Russell could still rise. His calm under pressure, clean aggression, and relentless consistency made him a foundation of Mercedes' next chapter. Though his career has yet to explode into dominance, Russell carries the aura of a future team leader. He's fast, methodical, and deeply analytical, a racer who studies the craft as much as he lives it. In a decade defined by giants, he represents the bridge to what comes next, a driver shaped by data and discipline, yet driven by old-school grit. For Mercedes and for Formula One, George Russell remains a promise still unfolding. 9. Sergio Perez's story in the 2020s is one of loyalty, flashes of brilliance, and the quiet burden of living in the shadow of greatness. When he joined Red Bull, many saw him as a stopgap, a steady hand to support Verstappen's title campaigns. But Perez proved far more than placeholder. His calm aggression and tire management made him invaluable, particularly on the unforgiving street circuits where chaos often reigned. Victories in Baku, Singapore, and Jeddah became his signature, earned through precision and poise under pressure. As Verstappen ascended into historic dominance, Perez's role became both crucial and thankless. He was the ultimate team player, holding up rivals, defending strategically, and sacrificing his own races for the greater cause. His 2022 and early 2023 performances showed glimpses of a man capable of fighting at the front. Strong starts, bold overtakes, and moments where he dared to challenge the untouchable. But Formula One is ruthless, and the consistency that once defined him began to fray. By 2024, mistakes and qualifying struggles crept in, leaving him adrift while his teammates soared. Still, Perez's contribution to Red Bull's dominance can't be overstated. Few drivers have balanced the demands of individual ambition and team loyalty with such composure. In an era ruled by Verstappen, he carved out his own identity as the sport's dependable street fighter, the man who thrived where others faltered. Even as form ebbed and critics grew louder, Sergio Perez remained what every team dreams of having: a driver who fights hard, works harder, and knows exactly what it means to play for team. 10. Daniel Ricciardo's journey through the 2020s is a story of joy, heartbreak, and stubborn belief. Once the sport's ever-smiling maverick, Ricciardo entered the decade as one of Formula One's most beloved figures, a proven race winner with infectious charisma that transcended the paddock. But beneath the grin lay a competitor of steel, one who chased challenge over comfort. His move to McLaren promised revival, yet what followed was struggle. A car that never fit his style and a confidence slowly eroded by frustration. Then came Monza 2021. Against all odds, in a season dominated by others, Ricciardo sees a perfect Sunday, leading from the start, holding off Norris, and giving McLaren its first win in nearly a decade. It was the kind of victory only he could deliver, defiant, emotional, and unforgettable. The radio message, "Yeah, boy," echoed with the relief of a driver, reminding the world who he really was. That day became his fairy tale, a shining defiance against decline. In the seasons that followed, Ricciardo's career became more reflective than resurgent. Yet even as the podiums dried up, his spark never fully dimmed. Every late-breaking move, every bold lunge into a corner, carried the echoes of the fearless racer who once made overtaking an art form. His smile may have faded with time, but his spirit never did. In a sport that often forgets its heroes too quickly, Daniel Ricciardo remains unforgettable, a racer who loved the fight as much as the glory. 11. Pierre Gasly's 2020 Monza victory remains one of Formula One's most emotional and unexpected triumphs of the decade. Just a year after being demoted from Red Bull to its junior team, Gasly arrived at Monza with something to prove, but no one could have predicted what followed. In a race of chaos and red flags, he kept his composure where others lost theirs, executing flawless restarts and defending with every ounce of willpower. When he crossed the finish line, a few tenths ahead of Sainz, the world erupted. It wasn't just a win, it was redemption. That afternoon transformed Gasly from a promising driver into a symbol of perseverance. His tears on the podium told the story of a man who had been written off too early, who had endured public failure and emerged stronger. For a sport often dominated by giants, his victory reminded everyone of its heart. The underdog's day, the human moment that makes all the speed and precision worth watching. Though Gasly never again reached those same dizzying heights, Monza 2020 secured his legacy. It was a race that captured everything beautiful about Formula One. Courage under pressure, triumph against odds, and a rare instance where talent, timing, and destiny aligned perfectly. Pierre Gasly may not have rewritten the record books, but in that single afternoon, he wrote himself into Formula One folklore. 12. Esteban Ocon's 2021 Hungarian Grand Prix victory was a kind of chaos-born masterpiece that defines a racer's career. In a race that began with carnage at turn 1 and saw half the grid tangled in collisions, Ocon emerged from the smoke with calm precision. While others lost control, he seized opportunity. From there, he drove a level of composure far beyond his years, nailing restarts, managing pressure, and holding off none other than Sebastian Vettel for lap after relentless lap. When he crossed the line, Alpine had its first win, and Formula One had a new hero to the underdog. That day revealed the essence of Ocon's character. Quiet, unflinching determination. He's never been the loudest in the paddock or the flashiest on track, but he's built from the same grit that fuels champions. Hungary 2021 wasn't luck. It was execution. Every defensive line, every lap under pressure, was a product of years spent fighting for his place in the sport after nearly losing it. In the seasons that followed, Ocon remained a fighter, occasionally overlooked, often underrated, but never out of the fight. His win in Budapest became a symbol of what makes Formula One unpredictable and thrilling. That on any given day, with courage and control, a driver can rise above the chaos. For Esteban Ocon, that day will forever stand as proof that perseverance can still make magic. 13. Sebastian Vettel's 2021 podium in Azerbaijan was more than just a result. It was a reminder of who he truly was beneath the struggles. After leaving Ferrari and joining Aston Martin, many had quietly written him off, assuming his best days were gone. Yet in Baku, amid a race of chaos and restarts, the four-time world champion rediscovered that spark. He stayed out of trouble, read the race like a chess master, and seized every opening with the calm of a veteran who had seen it all. When he crossed the line in second, the joy on his face was unmistakable. Relief, pride, and a touch of disbelief. That podium wasn't about redemption through speed. It was about resilience. Vettel had carried the weight of criticism, self-doubt, and the lingering sting of his Ferrari years. Yet in that moment, all of it melted away. The cheers, the champagne, the sight of him smiling again, it felt like the sport had given something back to one of its purest souls. His post-race words, humble and heartfelt, showed a man still deeply in love with the craft, still grateful just to be in the fight. Baku 2021 became one of the most human moments of Vettel's later career. It wasn't a championship, but it was validation. It proved that greatness isn't defined by how often you win, but by how gracefully you keep going when you no longer have to. In that green car, on that sunny day, Sebastian Vettel didn't just finish second. He reminded the world why he'll always be first in his heart. 14. Valtteri Bottas' Mercedes years may not have been drenched in glory, but they were defined by something just as valuable: consistency, discipline, and quiet excellence. Joining the team in 2017 at the height of its dominance, Bottas stepped into a pressure cooker alongside Lewis Hamilton and handled it with remarkable composure. He was never the loudest presence in the paddock, yet his contribution to Mercedes' success was undeniable. Steady points, clean teamwork, and the kind of reliability that kept championships alive long after the headlines moved on. Through the 2020s, Bottas became the embodiment of the perfect number two. Fast enough to win when the opportunity arose, selfless enough to play the long game for the team. His smooth driving style and technical understanding made him invaluable in car development, while his calm professionalism provided a counterbalance to Hamilton's intensity. The team's title runs weren't just built on brilliance at the front, but on the quiet assurance that Bottas would always deliver when it counted. Yet beneath that stoic exterior, there was steel. His wins, when they came, were executed with precision and pride, small rebellions that reminded everyone he was more than a supporting act. Bahrain, Russia, Austria. Each victory carried the subtle defiance of a driver who refused to be underestimated. When he eventually moved on from Mercedes, Bottas left behind a legacy of dignity and quiet strength. In an era defined by giants, he stood tall by doing the simple things right, again and again. 15. Alex Albon's resurgence with Williams between 2023 and 2025 has been one of Formula One's most heartwarming comeback stories. After his abrupt exit from Red Bull in 2020, many believed his time in the sport had ended, yet Albon returned not broken, but reborn, matured, measured, and quietly determined to prove that talent never truly disappears. At Williams, a team clawing its way back from the bottom, he found both freedom and purpose. The partnership became a case study in mutual revival, a once-forgotten driver, helping to reawaken a once-great team. By 2023, Albon's performances began turning heads again. He dragged the Williams further up the grid than it had any right to be, defending with grace, attacking with precision, and outthinking rivals with faster machinery. His points finishes felt like victories. His defensive drives, particularly in Canada and Silverstone, showcased a racer who understood not just speed, but survival. Each weekend, he gave Williams something it had lacked for years: belief. As the seasons rolled into 2024 and 2025, Albon's consistency and leadership transformed him into the cornerstone of the team's resurgence. Young drivers could look at him and see a blueprint for resilience, a reminder that failure doesn't define a career, response does. His journey from discarded prospect to team talisman stands as proof that Formula One's toughest road can still lead to redemption. For Williams and for Albon himself, these years have been nothing short of a renaissance. 16. Lance Stroll's Formula One career in the 2020s has been a study in steady competence overshadowed by the brilliance around him. His pole position at a rain-soaked Turkey in 2020 remains his finest hour, a breathtaking display of confidence and car control that briefly silenced critics. For that one afternoon, he looked untouchable, threading his racing point through treacherous conditions with a poise that even seasoned champions admired. Yet as the seasons unfolded, Stroll's story became one of quiet consistency rather than conquest. Whether in the pink of Racing Point or the green of Aston Martin, he delivered solid points, clean drives, and an occasional flash of boldness. But the next step, the one that turned good drivers into race winners, never quite arrived. Against teammates like Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso, his performances were respectable but rarely defining. Still, Stroll's place on the grid endures for more than family backing or team loyalty. He has matured into a dependable pair of hands, capable of bringing the car home and capitalizing when chaos strikes. His career may not sparkle with victories, but it glows with quiet persistence. The mark of a driver who knows his role, embraces it fully, and continues to prove that consistency, too, has its own kind of value in Formula One. 17. Yuki Tsunoda's journey through Formula One has been one of raw speed slowly shaped by experience. When he burst onto the scene in 2021, he brought with him a fiery temperament and fearless driving style that made him impossible to ignore. His overtakes were bold, sometimes reckless, but always electrifying. A young driver attacking every corner as if it owed him something. The potential was obvious. What he needed was time to refine it. Over the following seasons, that rough edge began to smooth out. Under the pressure of Formula One's unforgiving spotlight, Tsunoda learned discipline without losing his spark. His race craft grew sharper, his feedback more mature, and his consistency improved dramatically. By 2024 and beyond, he was no longer the unpredictable rookie shouting over team radio, but a composed competitor capable of extracting the maximum from any situation. Tsunoda remains one of the grid's most exciting prospects, a driver whose aggression, when harnessed, becomes artistry. There's a sense that his best is still ahead, that beneath the calm exterior now lies a racer ready to pounce when the right machinery arrives. In a sport that often values control over flair, Yuki Tsunoda is proving that evolution doesn't have to mean losing your fire. It just means learning when to unleash it. 18. Kevin Magnussen's Formula One story in the 2020s has been one of quiet grit and flashes of defiance in the face of long odds. When he returned to Haas in 2022 after an unexpected call-up, few expected much from a team mired near the back of the grid. Yet, almost immediately, Magnussen reminded the paddock what he was made of, dragging an underdeveloped car into the points with sheer determination and skill. His fifth-place finish in Bahrain that year felt like a victory, the kind of moment that reminded everyone how raw talent can still cut through mediocrity. Driving for a backmarker demands a special kind of resilience, and Magnussen embodied it. Race after race, he fought tooth and nail in machinery built to defend, not to attack. Still, his aggression, sharp starts, and willingness to seize even the faintest opportunity turned him into a constant thorn for midfield teams. He became the face of Haas's fighting spirit. Never glamorous, never dominant, but relentlessly competitive. Magnussen's points finishes didn't just count for the standings. They meant survival for a small team competing against giants. His ability to extract something from almost nothing became his trademark. Through frustration, near misses, and flashes of brilliance, he has remained true to who he is, a racer's racer. In an era of polished perfection, Kevin Magnussen stands as Formula One's reminder that heart still counts, that sometimes the fight itself is a victory. 19. Nico Hulkenberg's Formula One career is the definition of unfulfilled brilliance. Year after year, he's shown the kind of one-lap speed most teams would kill for, razor-sharp in qualifying, fearless on the limit, and almost surgical in extracting performance from the car. Yet somehow, the rewards have never quite matched the talent. His return to the grid with Haas in the 2020s only deepened that paradox. The same precision, the same composure, but still the cruel reality of fighting with machinery that couldn't carry him where he deserved to go. As a qualifier, Hulkenberg remains one of the sport's quiet marvels. Even against younger, hungrier teammates, he continues to find time in places others can't. But Sundays have often been less forgiving. Strategy, luck, or sheer misfortune have repeatedly conspired to deny him the results his performances warranted. The elusive podium, once a running joke, now a kind of tragic badge of honor, has come to define him as much as his brilliance has. Yet there's a certain dignity in Hulkenberg's story. He never complains, never overplays his frustrations. He simply straps in and delivers, session after session. For a driver without the accolades his talent should have earned, he's managed to carve out something rarer: respect. In a sport obsessed with winners, Nico Hulkenberg endures as the eternal reminder that greatness can exist quietly, lap after lap, without ever standing on the top step. 20. Mick Schumacher's time in Formula One was brief, bruising, yet far from without merit. Carrying one of the sport's most famous surnames, he entered the grid under immense pressure, expected not just a race, but to live up to a legacy carved in titanium. In his early seasons with Haas, the odds were stacked against him. An uncompetitive car, constant instability, and the glare of comparisons that few drivers could ever escape. Yet within that chaos, flashes of genuine ability shone through, moments of clean, disciplined driving that hinted at something more beneath the surface. Though often outpaced by teammates like Kevin Magnussen, Schumacher was never truly outclassed. His feedback grew sharper, his composure stronger, and his race craft steadily improved as he learned the brutal rhythm of Formula One. Every weekend became a lesson, every lap a small act of persistence. His crashes and missteps made headlines, but those who watched closely saw a young driver quietly hardening under pressure, refusing to fold. When his F1 seat slipped away, it wasn't a failure, it was an intermission. Schumacher's resilience and humility earned him a place as a respected reserve, keeping his skills alive within the Mercedes camp and continuing to evolve away from the spotlight. His story is still being written. Outpaced for now, perhaps, but never outclassed. In the long run, Mick Schumacher may yet prove that grace under pressure is its own form of greatness. 21. Zhou Guanyu's place in Formula One history was secured the moment he lined up on the grid in 2022, the first Chinese driver ever to do so. Yet beyond the headlines and national pride, Zhou quietly built a reputation for steady competence in one of the sport's toughest midfield battlegrounds. Driving for Alfa Romeo, he brought calm professionalism to a team in transition, rarely flashy but consistently reliable. Each weekend, he delivered what the car allowed: clean laps, minimal errors, and just enough spark to suggest there was more to him than marketing potential. His debut season showed composure under pressure, capped by a memorable points finish in Bahrain and an unforgettable display of courage at Silverstone after his terrifying first-lap crash. Zhou climbed out of that wreckage not just physically unharmed, but mentally unbroken, a moment that said as much about his character as any result could. Through 2023 and beyond, he continued to refine his craft, serving as a dependable hand in a team often struggling for identity. While he may not have the raw pace of the sports elite, Zhou's value lies in his consistency and his role as a trailblazer. He carries an entire nation's hopes with humility, helping Formula One expand into new frontiers both on and off the track. Steady, disciplined, and quietly dignified, Zhou Guanyu may not make headlines every weekend, but he's made history all the same. 22. Logan Sargeant's early Formula One career was a harsh initiation into the sport's unforgiving reality. As America's first full-time driver in years, expectations were high, perhaps too high for a rookie stepping into a struggling Williams team. What followed was a season marked more by growing pains and glory. His raw pace showed glimpses of promise, but the mistakes came too often, the crashes too costly. In a grid where precision is survival, Sargeant often found himself learning the hard way. Each race seemed to offer a fresh test, one that exposed both his potential and his inexperience. There were moments of grit, flashes of control, and qualifying laps that hinted at real speed beneath the nerves. Yet consistency remained elusive. In a team built on fine margins, every damaged front wing and every DNF felt magnified. By the season's end, Sargeant had earned as many headlines for his missteps as for his finishes, a painful contrast to the calm, clinical teammates around him. Still, there's room for redemption in his story. Beneath the errors lies a driver with natural aggression and an eagerness to prove he belongs. The path forward demands patience, less force, more finesse, but Formula One has seen raw talents find their footing after rough beginnings. For now, Logan Sargeant's legacy is one of turbulence. Whether it becomes a cautionary tale or a comeback story will depend on how he learns from the wreckage he's already left behind. 23. Nyck de Vries' Formula One story burned bright and brief, the kind of career that feels like a flicker rather than a flame. His debut at Monza in 2022 was the stuff of instant legend. Calling at the last moment to replace an unwell Alex Albon, he climbed into a Williams he'd barely driven and delivered a stunning P9 finish, scoring points on debut and outshining seasoned veterans. Calm, composed, and clinical, he looked like a driver who had finally found a chance destiny had long denied him. But Formula One can be cruel to late bloomers. When his full-time seat finally came with AlphaTauri in 2023, the magic of Monza never returned. The machinery was difficult, the pressure immense, and the rhythm never clicked. Mistakes crept in, confidence wavered, and within 10 races, his F1 dream was over. It was a brutal reminder that in this sport, timing can be everything, and has come a little too late in a car that offered too little. Yet even in failure, de Vries' story carries weight. A Formula E champion, a Le Mans competitor, and a driver of undeniable intelligence, he showed that talent alone isn't always enough to survive in Formula One's cutthroat world. His Monza debut will forever stand as a snapshot of what might have been a perfect race in imperfect circumstances, and proof that for one unforgettable afternoon, Nyck de Vries belonged among the best. 24. Nicolas Latifi's name is etched into Formula One history for all the wrong reasons. His crash at the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, an otherwise ordinary incident at the back of the field, triggered the safety car sequence that ultimately decided one of the most dramatic title fights the sport had ever seen. In that single moment, Latifi went from an anonymous backmarker to an unwitting central figure in the storm that crowned Max Verstappen and shattered Lewis Hamilton's 8th title dream. It was a twist of fate no driver could have prepared for, and one that would follow him long after he left the grid. Beyond that infamous moment, Latifi's career was defined by quiet effort rather than headlines. Driving for Williams in an era of struggle, he worked diligently but rarely escaped the bottom end of the timing sheets. There were flashes of competence, solid runs in tricky conditions, steady hands on chaotic days, but never the breakthrough that might have rewritten his story. In a sport of brutal comparison, Latifi simply never had the machinery or the margin to make his mark. Still, to reduce his legacy to one crash is to miss the human story behind it. Latifi faced the aftermath of Abu Dhabi with grace, enduring waves of online abuse while maintaining dignity and accountability. For all the noise that surrounded his name, he remained composed, professional, and kind, a reminder that even those on the margins of Formula One carried the same courage and sacrifice as its champions. His time in the sport may have been brief and bruising, but it left a mark that time, for better or worse, will never erase. 25. Antonio Giovinazzi's Formula One chapter is a tale of effort overshadowed by circumstance, and, perhaps most memorably, by a 40-year-old teammate who refused to fade. Paired with Kimi Räikkönen at Alfa Romeo, Giovinazzi spent his seasons hovering on the edge of potential, quick enough over one lap to hint at something special, but rarely able to turn flashes of speed into consistent results. The numbers told a simple story. Too many missed opportunities, too few points, and a quiet frustration of being outqualified by a man old enough to be a mentor. Yet to dismiss Giovinazzi as a disappointment would miss the nuance. He brought dedication and professionalism to a team fighting for scraps, often squeezing performances from a car that wasn't built to shine. There were weekends when his aggression and precision caught attention, especially on circuits like Monza and Zandvoort, where he flirted with the top 10 before luck or strategy betrayed him. By the time he left Formula One, Giovinazzi had become emblematic of the sport's harsh balance between promise and payoff. In another era, his blend of technical feedback, racercraft, and heart might have earned him more time. Instead, he left with respect rather than glory. A driver who gave everything, even as the stopwatch in the shadows of the past worked quietly against him.